Hola amigos, in today's video we're talking about whether people can be considered quantum computers. Okay, so a topic that recently has gotten very interesting to me is of course the rise of AI, with the question, will machines eventually replace humans? A lot of people fear the idea of computers and AI and robots taking over the world, and it's a relevant fear. After all, robots have taken over many jobs, have replaced us in many areas of life, and today many of the things that we used to do are being done by robots. So of course it's easy when you see all these things happen to feel a state of envy or jealousy, of loss of your position, of your masculinity, of your power as a human, because perhaps these machines are just better than you, right? And perhaps they're smarter than you, perhaps they're just more efficient, perhaps they're just more effective. And perhaps there's no use for you, right? And so this fear of being not just killed off by computers, but replaced by computers is a real fear that is inspiring a lot of people. And recently I had a whole discussion about this with YouTuber Leon Zhao, an INFP YouTuber and psychotherapist. And in the video, I argue for, well, my vision for AI and what I want it to be, and for why I don't think we should ban AI or remove it, but rather why we should try to steer it in the right direction. To me, the question of whether people are quantum computers or not might sound strange, right? So what prompted it is the realization that, well, over the past few years, I've been spending more and more time in nature. And something that I've come to observe is, well, the elegance and efficiency of nature. Nature is capable of harnessing the power of the sun. It's capable of using the winds and the forces of the world. It is capable of making smart decisions. It's capable of forming complex ecosystems. And when we start to study trees, mushrooms, animals, what we find out is they're a lot more like us than we'd like to believe. Historically, we've always believed that we are special as human beings, that we have some special capacities that just go beyond anything else that is possible in nature, and that no other animal or life form or plant or tree or similar is capable of doing what we do. And this feeling of being an apex predator then has come to color a lot of human experience on Earth. The idea that we are simply superior in every single regard, in every single thing that we do, right? The problem of this kind of analogy can be exemplified by, for example, the quote of Albert Einstein: "Judge not a fish by their ability to climb a tree. Judge not a bird by their ability to swim." I'm paraphrasing here, but the gist is we can't really compare and study and say that a tree is unintelligent simply because it's not capable of doing the things that a human is capable of. After all, we are not capable of photosynthesis. We are not capable of enduring and growing in the conditions that a tree can survive in. We don't have the capacity to communicate with other trees the way trees do, through these antennas, through these amazing root systems, right? So when we talk about these kinds of capabilities, what we really realize is intelligence is rather multifaceted, right? And something that's come up in quantum mechanics lately is the realization that nature is able to some level, harness different forces that we know and study today through the field of quantum physics and quantum mechanics, right? So what that means is, it seems photosynthesis, for example, is made possible through the plants and their abilities to run and use quantum forces to run calculations, to make incredibly complex decisions about how to evolve, how to move, how to develop, how to grow. And beyond that, it's even believed that birds rely on quantum mechanics to navigate through the planet. And there's countless of theories about this coming up and sprouting up, and some highly plausible. Some even argue that consciousness is made possible through quantum physics, and that there are parts in our electrons, in our neurons, that we are utilizing to make smarter decisions. And so I'm by no right arguing that we have the capacity to do what we believe, hypothesize that a quantum computer could do, or seems able to do. What I'm arguing is that there seems to be a deeper intelligence to biological life forms than what we previously thought, and so the discussion on machine supremacy or AI supremacy is a little bit too early to tell. We can't really say whether AI and mechanical technology will eventually outpace any form of biological life. What we can say is that perhaps as we grow to understand more about quantum mechanics and mechanical life forms, we will be able to also utilize these forces in our interaction with nature and in our interaction with life and in how we think and how we make decisions. What's even crazier is that when we study a lot of ancient theories, especially, for example, the theories that we find in Eastern philosophy, in Taoist theories, in the idea of Zen, in the Buddhist notions, what we find is striking similarities to the awareness of quantum mechanics. It seems that these philosophers, in how they describe the Tao, in how they describe how the mind works, and how they describe the universal formula of life and how life originates, it seems they had a complex grasp of modern day physics, and that traditional Eastern philosophy, which is more than 2,000 years old, is congruous with, fully compatible with modern science. What this suggests is that people have the capacity to, purely through the art of introspection, somehow reason about and understand quantum theoretical theories. So it seems that simply through the act of meditation, of introspection, of listening to yourself, you're able to come in contact with the Tao, or with a universal force, which works and seems to have similar properties to the properties and the forces that we see in these kinds of theories, right? So that's strange, that's weird, that's unexpected, and it's not something that we want. It's not something that we completely understand yet. Obviously, we could just shrug it off as a coincidence and say, no, it's not possible. The human mind is not capable of running quantum calculations, and consciousness probably does not exist or is not relevant, like some scientists still do. Others are still involved in a race to find what consciousness is, right? And still to this day, there is no scientific explanation for what consciousness is. We hoped that we would find one. 25 years ago, there was a bet made about whether consciousness can be discovered through scientific means, and philosophers argued no, probably not. And the psychologists, the neuroscientists bet that maybe it's possible. But that bet came out wrong. It was not possible. We have, to this point, we don't really know what consciousness is, or how it works, or how we're able to experience it, right? Now, there is even a field I recently discovered which is fascinating to me, and it's the field of quantum cognition. And here, what they're doing is they are taking theories developed in quantum physics, and they're using it to study social interactions and human behavior. And so things like the observation principle, entanglement, and different theories in quantum physics are starting to be utilized to effectively and accurately predict human behavior. Here, a lot of the time, something we have to recognize is that biological life does not seem to make decisions and function in the way that mechanical life forms do. Typically, a mechanical life form tends to have a very straightforward way of working. It revolves around linear actions and decision-making processes. But nature relies on its own geometry. Nature has its own Fibonacci sequence. Nature has its own way of growing and evolving and developing, followed by its organic forces and its composition and structure. Nature functions differently to mechanical forces. Here, a lot of the time, we have to recognize that we're dealing with two completely different things. We imagine that AI, if it becomes very intelligent, will quickly seek to eradicate humanity from the planet, right? A lot of this is fueled by this feeling that humanity has polluted the world, has done a lot of bad things, is immoral, blah, blah, blah. And so an AI will eventually look at us will take the role of God and will decide that we must be exterminated for our own good, right? So a lot of this is some kind of strange revenge fantasy, a form of, fear or a desire for justice or some feeling of internalized self-contempt. But there is something deeper that we have to ask ourselves when it comes to AI, and that's, why would it see us as a threat? When we study some of the most intelligent people of the planet, people like Albert Einstein, like Da Vinci, something that's striking about these people is they're superhumanly intelligent, right? And by that definition, we tend to believe that anything that is intelligent is going to be unempathetic, right? So we believe that the more intelligent a person becomes, the less empathetic they will be. We tend to say that because humans are more intelligent than animals, that's the reason why humans are so cruel towards animals, simply because we have no empathy for them. But if you study the rest of the ecosystem, something you'll see is animals are more than capable of being cruel towards other animals, even if these animals might happen to have a similar level of intelligence. So the answer to why people and why human beings are so cruel is not easily found in our intelligence or our lack of ability to empathize with other people of a lower level of intelligence, right? What rather seems to be the case is people when we become more intelligent, like Da Vinci and like Einstein, we actually seem to become more empathetic. So something we can study about these people is they're often inclined to be vegetarians, they're often pacifists, they're generally very non-violent. And one reason for this is the more intelligent we are, the better we are at thinking of smart solutions to problems that don't require violence or murder, right? So what I'm basically saying here is that when you're very intelligent, your brain seems more than capable of making smarter and more ethical decisions. And it's strange to assume that it wouldn't be, because typically while we think of intelligence primarily as the ability to be logical and cold and cruel and efficient in how you solve problems, intelligence in a broader sense, in a human sense, is a heightened capacity to not just solve logical problems, but also to address social issues and ethical dilemmas. And so I kind of expect us to see, if we see a rise of an intelligent, self-aware form of AI, what I expect to see is a kind of AI that is more likely to be benevolent and kind and considerate and ethical and compassionate towards other people and other life forms. Similarly, I believe that really intelligent aliens and other civilizations are most likely going to treat us in a way that they believe is good for us. And so the question we have to ask ourselves is, who is to decide what is good for us, and how do we make sure that we stay in control of our own fate, and how do we make sure that we stay relevant and stay in tune with ourselves and get to decide for ourselves how things are? How do we make sure that we don't create some kind of intelligent oppressor that will, in a father knows best or mother knows best manner, decide the future for humanity and will engineer and manipulate and control our behaviors to get us to do what it believes will be most logical and positive thing, right? And to answer that question, the question or the problem we have to solve is, how do we become more intelligent? How are we going to be able to become smarter? How are we going to be able to be more capable of higher level consciousness and thinking? How are we going to solve the tribal conflicts that seem to make a global and peaceful society impossible? How do we manage the issues and struggles that we see in modern society on social media without making it illegal or censoring it or without controlling it, but rather through creating smarter alternatives? How do we develop ourselves, and how far can we go? How much can we remember? How much can the brain fit inside itself? How capable are we of learning multi-level skills? How capable are we of becoming experts in an area? How likely are we to become more intelligent? How likely are we to become more conscious? And thinking about that, I feel like I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I know why I have these channels. I know why I started this YouTube channel. And I know what I'm working towards. I'm working towards raising up humanity. I'm working towards inspiring people to become more conscious, inspiring people to become more intelligent, inspiring people to level up in any way that they can. And I'm also showing you suggesting that it might be possible for humans to become more intelligent, to become very intelligent without the use of machines, without becoming cyborgs, without the use of or outside technology. And I'm going to talk more about that in the future.